This podcast was originally live-streamed on the NonSequitur Show on YouTube. New episodes air weekdays, Monday through Friday, at 8 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/NonSequitur Show. Make sure you never miss a live stream by visiting www.nonsecshow.com/schedule. For the latest news, polls and updates throughout the day, follow us on Twitter at NonSecShow or Facebook.com/NonSecShow. That's NonSeq Show. If you'd like to get exclusive content, bi-weekly private hangouts with Kyle and Steve, backstage access to chat with guests after shows hosted on your channel and much more, become a Patreon saint of NonSequitur. It ensures we continue to improve our show and brings you into the process at the same time. Visit patreon.com/NonSequitur today while the limited spots are still available.
The following podcast is intended for those who believe bold ideas are righteous, unique perspectives are gospel, and strong opinions are sacred. This is Non Sequitur. Never follow. And now, here are your hosts, Kyle Curtis and Steve McRae.
Hey, welcome everybody to the NonSequitur Show. I'm Steve, and that's not Kyle over there, as you may notice. Or it could be Kyle with long hair. Long hair hippie Kyle. No, Kyle has a prior engagement tonight, so he will be not joining us. But we do have a substitute, Dave McGinnis, producer and interviewer as well. He's going to be kind of leading this particular show, and he's going to introduce our guest tonight, which is the Scathing Atheist, who, by the way, we've had like 20 minutes of convo before we even started that, I mean, it's just been so awesome so far. So I'm guaranteeing you this is going to be one of my more favorite shows because this has been thrilling to have a conversation with this guy before he even went on air. So I expect great things for this particular episode. But David, by the way, first, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great tonight, Steve. How are you doing?
Sweet. I am doing fantastic. It's been a wonderful week, so let's kind of keep it up. You kind of know our guest a little bit because this is arranged through you. So why don't you kind of introduce him to the live chat, and we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, well, we've got Eli from the Scathing Atheist podcast, as well as God Awful Movies, Citation Needed, and The Skeptocrat, and I think a blog that not enough people read. That's
nobody reads blogs. I love
exactly,
blogging.
Yeah.
Blogging's great. They should be read.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do you want to just sort of like give people a little bit of background, Eli, for those who don't know you? And he's not he is the Scathing Atheist in the same way that Seth Andrews is the Thinking Atheist. It's not quite a thing.
Oh, please! I wish I scathed as hard as Seth's thought. My name's Eli. I'm a comedian from New York City. I have a couple of shows, which you just mentioned, The Scathing Atheist, God Awful Movies, where we review terrible Christian movies. We're on episode 160 something now, so I've seen 160 something Christian movies at this point. We also have a political show called The Skeptocrat and a show where we make fun of Wikipedia articles called Citation Needed. So thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Really?
Yeah,
really? You go to like Wikipedia and you say this is not cited correctly? Because I find a lot of errors in Wikipedia.
No,
not gonna front.
No. It's more of like like a comedy roast of. Yeah, we're not pointing out anybody's incorrections. We're making up our own. Yeah, we are definitely not fixing anything about Wikipedia. The catchphrase for the show is because this is the internet and that's how it works now. So the whole premise of the show is one of us reads a Wikipedia article, everyone else makes fun of it as we're reading it. But the idea is, I'm an expert on this subject because I've read the Wikipedia article. So we're sort of poking fun at the
Wikipedia. Yes, Wikipedians. And if you read a Wikipedia article, you are an automatic expert. It's just the way it is. Because it's just true that if it's on the internet, it has to be true, right? I mean, that's kind of a law, right? Okay.
Although
that's
I will
how it works
say,
now.
That's how it works.
One thing that people are missing out on is not enough people know about Wikipedia chat pages. My friends, in the chat watching.
Oh.
If you have not been on a Wikipedia chat page, just imagine 900 of the bitchiest people who live to correct grammar all having a fight all trying to drive the same car. Just put 9 of your worst friends on different parts of a steering wheel. That's a Wikipedia chat page. And if you go to one of the like controversial ones like 9/11 or the moon landing or vaccinations or anything, it's just a combination of bizarre vengeance schemes and vendettas and personal fights. It is, if you want to watch the human drama play out writ large, go to any Wikipedia chat page and watch 9 randos from 8 different parts of the globe lose their fucking minds. It is well worth it, my friends.
So, I mean, if you look at some of the stuff that you guys put on the show, particularly in Scathing, and you look at the kind of guests that we have on here, we have the displeasure oftentimes of having to interact directly with the people. I think that you guys did a How Bullshit Is It segment recently, but I think the last episode that dropped on urine therapy.
On urine therapy, yes, we did.
Yeah. So we've had those people on the show. We've had people who are we had a show on somebody who thinks that their salt cabbage juice water can regrow limbs and cure gayness. And then there was Soul Phone. Tell them about Soul Phone, Steve. That was
Soul Phone is a project that they believe that they're going to have this communication system where you can have different levels of communication with the dead. You can have a basic yes or no, like Ouija board type communication. I guess there'd be some light that flashes once for yes and 2 for no. I don't know. And then there's another one called Soul Video, where you actually are communicating with this anthropomorphized static or something. I don't know the details. They didn't provide any. I asked questions relating to their methodology. I've asked questions about how this actually works. All I got was, I know nothing about it, but the guy that I work for, he's the expert on it. Then why aren't we having him come on and explain it? But it's bizarre.
It's like, basically, isn't this through a university or something?
Well, no, I mean,
isn't he like
the engineer that's doing it? He is an actual PhD, Dr. Schwartz, but it's basically high tech mediumship. That's all it really is. It's basically the mediumship with a twist to it, right? That's all. No difference.
Yeah. So I mean, they're basically like Skype the dead is essentially what they're selling.
Skype the dead. I like that.
But you need, yeah. It's like sounds like the name of a really bad emo band,
or a really good one. But what would be the point? When I asked the gentleman, what information can you glean from this dead entity? I mean, if you asked him, hey, Uncle Fester, where did you put the fucking will that's you left by millions of dollars hidden somewhere? And he just says something like, night sky, blue rock. That's not going to convey much information to me, right? So he didn't have any explanation of what's going to be considered to be an actual communication with this quote-unquote dead relative. Oh, by the way, it's not just dead relatives. You can talk to Einstein. You can talk to Nikola Tesla.
Oh, and they're helping with the project.
The afterlife wants to talk to you. Yeah, Tesla's helping with the project, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah. Do you want to tell the audience though a little bit more about yourself, your background, what you do when you're not podcasting, that kind of thing? Let's kick things off.
Oh, so I was born and raised in upstate New York. I went to NYU for drama. And when I'm not podcasting, I run a magic show in New York, as y'all can see from the I'm doing the mirror thing, as y'all can see from the various books behind me. But what I do for a living full time is the podcast. I actually do all of our shows for a living full time. We just got back from England, where we were at QED, the largest skeptics convention in the world. We got a chance to work with those guys. It was absolutely fabulous. If anyone watching this hasn't been to QED before or hasn't been to a convention before, QED is top of the chain. So make sure you check it out.
And I love skepticism type stuff, but I don't use the word for myself. You being a philosophical guy, skepticism has a lot of different meanings, right? And skeptic has a lot of different real actually meanings. I prefer skeptical, right? I mean, I'm skeptical versus when it comes to things like homeopathy and astrology and all that pseudoscience bullshit, right? But do you label yourself as a skeptic as far as skepticism, or just because you don't buy into the same nonsense that we don't buy into?
Yeah, no, I claim the label of skeptic pretty proudly. I think skepticism has a really good overlap with education right now, especially as a community. And it also is a really, really good way for a lot of, now, obviously, skepticism's name has sort of been besmirched by moon landing deniers and vaccine skeptics, right? So there are people who use the word skeptic, but the skeptic community has done a tremendous amount of good. And one of the things that we've really gotten to see over the last 10 or 15 years or so is how important that education is and how much good it's done, especially utilizing the internet to educate people about things like homeopathy. Before we recorded, I started talking about the work of this guy, Michael Marshall, who's actually one of the organizers of QED, and he managed through skeptical activism to get the NHS to no longer cover homeopathy in the north of England, which is just an absolutely tremendous win, because it means that people are no longer being prescribed pseudoscience, and more importantly, people are not paying for it with their tax money, right? So if something's not covered, you don't have doctors saying, well, I could give you chemotherapy, but you've requested this homeopathic treatment instead, and it's on the NHS, so I have to give it to you. So I think that is where skepticism can really do a tremendous amount of good in the world. And if you follow the work of people like Michael Marshall or Andy Wilson or the organizers at QED or the Skeptical Society of Europe, I actually got to be on a panel with their head over at QED, and she is brilliant. So watching what they do with education and actually helping people is really inspiring and sort of awesome to watch from the outside or from the next to, as the case may be.
I totally get that.
So,
that actually is a very rational approach to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say, so like since we're talking about labels and whatnot, one of the more controversial labels among some of the people within our audience is social justice and social justice warriors. You count yourself amongst that group.
I do. I am a proud social justice warrior.
Okay. Yeah, and
to battle.
I agree.
To arms.
I agree with most, I think, things in social justice movements, other than maybe some of the more extreme ways that people try to actually move towards their goals. I think that they can be a bit overbearing at times. But I think I'm Canadian, so warrior is just too aggressive. I'd say I'm a social justice advocate.
You need a social justice apology. That's the Canadian thing.
You're such a pussy, Dave.
But we got the weed now, so everybody's just going to mellow out.
Legal weed, exactly. If it's possible, Canadians will get more chill.
Wait, it's not legal in Canada yet.
I don't know how to
prosecute. There's a difference.
No, it's legal.
No, it's legal. I can go to my liquor store and buy weed. Yeah, everywhere.
When did this happen?
Federally.
When did
last week?
October 12th.
Oh, because I just had this discussion like 4 or 5 months ago, and so it had to be something really recent.
It's legal across the board. Yeah, no, it's totally legal, recreational. You can store an unlimited amount of weed in your house. No, not yet.
Your highest balls? Okay.
No, I
should be high as balls.
Purposely left the weed on the table for now. It's not. I'm not going to touch that yet. But
I did not know this. Good to know.
Yeah, no, it's totally a thing. But yeah, no. With that label, do you think that there's anything that happens within the social justice community that you would call out as like that shouldn't be part of the social justice movement? Like these are bad actors within the community, or?
Yeah, there are bad actors within every community. And, one of the things that I consider to sort of be my contribution to being a social justice warrior or to social justice is to be the voice of someone who was born and raised in upstate New York, who came with some pretty bad ideas. Growing up, I was pretty racist, pretty sexist, pretty homophobic, and have slowly, through the care and love of the people around me, been able to see some of these ideas for what they are. I was lucky enough to participate in a lot of programs that involved mental health care. I was part of something called The Reality Show at NYU that was a bunch of safe space training and trigger warning training and depression training and mental health training. So I went through a ton of this training in order to learn these things myself. And the obligation that I feel from that is to sort of pass on what I learned. And one of the sort of big misconception